At the turn of the 19th century, the sea was both a promise and a peril, a vast canvas of possibility and uncertainty. Among the many tales spun by sailors around flickering lantern lights was that of the Flying Dutchman, a formidable and enigmatic ship known to conquer the wildest waves and outpace the swiftest gales. Commodore Hendrik van Rijn, the ship's bold and daring captain, was just as legendary. Every sailor worth his salt knew their names, though few had glimpsed them with their own eyes. The Dutchman crew was a fire-forged ensemble: First Mate Lars, whose heart was as steady as his hand; Quartermaster Matthias, who navigated not by stars alone, but by some instinct too intricate to name; and Boatswain Garrett, muscles like iron and a voice like thunder. They had charted nearly every ocean and survived even the fiercest storms. Yet, their ambitions grew greater with each voyage, as if the sea itself dared them to uncover its deepest secrets. One fateful evening, as the sun's final embers sank below the horizon, the crew gathered round a gilded chest that they had hoisted aboard from a half-submerged wreck. It looked as though it had endured countless tempests, yet it was imbued with an otherworldly glow. Upon opening the chest, they discovered a magnificent chronometer, gleaming despite years of submersion. Hendrik's eyes sparkled as he held the prized chronometer aloft. "This," he announced, "will guide us through uncharted waters and take us to places no man has ever been." From the moment they brought the chronometer aboard, the seas around the Flying Dutchman grew ever more unpredictable. Stars rearranged themselves into incomprehensible constellations, and familiar sea routes twisted into unrecognizable labyrinths. Days bled into nights, and nights into days. Reality felt like a delicate veil that could tear at any moment. Hendrik became consumed by the chronometer, its beauty and mystery wrapping themselves around his imagination. He scrutinized the device day and night. One night, with the wind howling like a beast in agony, the chronometer began to glow with an eerie luminescence. Lars, Matthias, and Garrett watched, their faces illuminated by its unnatural light, as Hendrik's eyes filled with some dark knowledge. Hendrik declared, his voice tinged with both awe and dread. "We are nearing the edge." Matthias questioned, his tone challenging but uncertain. "The edge?" "The edge of our world," Hendrik continued, his grip tightening around the chronometer. "Beyond which lie realms unknown, places spoken of in whispers among ancient mariners and seen by none who have ever returned." A torrent of ghastly possibilities swept through the minds of the crew, yet they were bound to follow their captain, for their fates were irrevocably intertwined. The chronometer began vibrating with a life of its own. The sea beneath them roared to life, as though the very oceans were being sucked into an abyss. Fog as thick as wool wrapped around the Flying Dutchman, swallowing every shred of moonlight and casting the ship into an all-encompassing darkness. Then, silence. A silence so profound it seemed to suffocate the air around them. Suddenly, from within the fog surged an expanse of water unlike any they had ever seen, inky black and chilling to the bone. This was not the sea they knew, it was something primordial and malignant. Hendrik commanded, his voice trembling. "Lars, steer us back." But the wheel wouldn't turn, the ship felt trapped in a morass of supernatural energy. Matthias approached Hendrik, his piercing eyes searching. "What have you led us into, Hendrik?" Before he could answer, the chronometer emitted a piercing chime, shattering the oppressive silence. The fog drew back just enough for the crew to see the ghastly apparitions of ships that had vanished throughout maritime history, their decaying masts reaching skyward like skeletal fingers. Hendrik tried to hurl the cursed chronometer into the depths, but he found his hands paralyzed, the device fused to his existence. The ship slowly passed beneath the archway, where reality itself seemed to rip and contort. The world beyond was hauntingly beautiful. And then, the chronometer shattered, a final pulse releasing them from its mystical grip. The ship was left adrift in a place where even the waters felt foreign, sluggish as if hesitant to let them go. Just as they believed they had reached the edge of their ordeal, the impossible happened. A rumbling so profound it seemed to originate from the bones of the world itself reverberated through the ship. The sea beneath the Flying Dutchman heaved itself skyward, and the ship, too, began to rise. It was as if gravity had reversed its decree. The crew clung to the rails, their wide eyes reflecting the bewildering sight as the waves curled upwards, transforming into ethereal, mist-laden clouds. A new horizon appeared where the earth and sky once intersected, a boundless expanse with no fixed direction. The familiar azure of the ocean metamorphosed into a swirling sea of stars. The fog cleared just enough to reveal that they were navigating the skies themselves, an astral ocean where constellations shimmered and rippled like the surface of a placid sea on a moonlit night. But the cosmos is not without its tempests. And, a storm unlike any they had encountered before brewed before them. Nebulas flared and clouds of cosmic dust roiled with purple and gold lightning. The ship was tossed as if it were a mere leaf in a hurricane. Hendrik, clutching the broken remains of the chronometer, whispered to it as the storm's power grew. "Return us," he pleaded, his voice lost on cutting winds of stardust. "Release us from this cosmic prison." The screams of the crew were consumed by the heavenly gale, their voices carried across dimensions. In a blinding flash, they were hurled back across the edge, plummeting from the celestial realm to the mortal seas below. They crashed into the waters with a thunderous force, the skies closing like a curtain above them. The ship was returned to the ocean, but it had been forever marked by its journey through the stars. Rumors of the Flying Dutchman soon began after it was reported lost at sea, first as whispers among fishermen, tales of a spectral ship seen in the distance, its sails shimmering with a ghostly light. The stories grew louder and those who glimpsed the ghost ship spoke of haunting melodies carried by the wind, a crew whose faces were aglow with eternal longing, and a following tempest in which the mightiest ships would vanish.